Unleash Success podcast, where we break down the secrets of success to give you real tools and strategies that get real results. And now, here's your host, Corey Corpodian.
Welcome back to Unleash Success. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter yet, just go to unleashsuccess.com, enter your email so you can get all the tools and strategies sent directly to you each and every week. Today, we're interviewing Tomas Keenan, who is the CEO of Top Class Installations. They're installing GPS tracking devices and dash cameras on commercial vehicles all over New York area and the tri-state area, and they're growing very quickly with just under 20 employees. Tomas is also the author of Unfuck Your Business. You guys heard that right, Unfuck Your Business. And we're going to get into this book so you can learn how to stop self-sabotaging and getting clear on your core values now. Tomas, I'm super excited to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Corey, super excited to be here. Grateful as well. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today and helping others succeed in business. By the way, that's one of my personal core values.
This is really exciting stuff, man. You started off kind of at the bottom is what we were talking about earlier. How did you make it all the way to CEO of a thriving company and then really kind of unfuck your own business type of thing? How did you figure that out?
Well, it all goes back to many, many years ago. When I was, I guess, about 15, I was bitten by the car audio bug in the late 90s. I was hanging out with some kids who were a little bit older than me, and we're driving around town, kind of doing nothing, as a lot of teenagers do. And this kid had an amplifier and two speakers in the back of his, I think it was a Toyota Celica at the time. And it was the loudest, coolest thing I had ever seen. I had a bunch of family members who were in the automotive business, auto mechanics, auto repair, auto body, used car sales. And I was helping them a lot around their shops. And they were also small business owners. So I had a lot of that in the background. But I really wasn't in love with the kind of work that they were doing. So I found this car audio stuff and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. So I started getting into it, reading magazines, educating myself on the installation practices. And I'm like, you know what? This is cool stuff. This is what I want to do. And I dove in head first. I was forced to take a technical drawing class as an elective in order to graduate high school. And I don't know about you, but still to this day, I really can't draw a straight line even with a ruler. So it wasn't the ideal class for me. So I said to the teacher at the time, I said, Mr. Gargiulo, so I got this thing that I'm really into, and this technical drawing thing really isn't me. I need this class to graduate. I was a poor student, by the way. And I said, if you're open to it, I have this book, I have this guide, and it says here in the book that if I have a librarian proctor a test, I can actually become a certified mobile electronics installer. So he says, all right, let me take a look into that. He looks into it. He goes and speaks to his superiors within the school, gets back to me a week or so later and says, yeah, we can do it. So I finished out my year of high school studying mobile electronics. And I took this test. I passed it. I became an MECP certified basic installer, which means MECP stands for Mobile Electronics Certified Professional. And I went to work. I graduated high school. I landed my first job at the age of 17, just before I turned 18, working for a local car audio store. And I started off as a salesman and then transitioned into the shop doing the work. I really had no interest in sales, but looking back at it now, it was probably one of the best things that I had done for myself. It forced me to get in front of people. I'm naturally an introvert, as many entrepreneurs are. I can turn it on. I can turn the extrovert part on when I need to, but I do prefer to go back into my solace of my home office and get shit done solo.
Oh man, amen to that. I gotta tell you, sometimes, same thing. Like I wouldn't ever classify myself as an introvert. And I don't think any of my friends would either, but 100,000%, I just need to be alone. I just want to zone out, do my thing, get shit done.
Yeah. And I find that if I need to go into, total focus mode to get shit done, if I have other people around me, even if they're not really bothering me or asking me questions, it's still a distraction and I'm not performing at my peak.
It's interesting is actually, I remember why when I ran across you in this potential interview, what rang something interesting was that you actually started in the car audio business. The reason I bring that up is my cousin, who unfortunately passed away last year at a young age. He was actually in the business as well, back in 2000. In the 2000s, and the Toyota Celica story is so funny because I remember I had a Pontiac Sunfire, and I was like, "Hey man, I want to put two 10-inch subwoofers in the trunk," and he would hook me up all the time. And every car I ever got, he had a company called Safe and Sound out in LA, and it was just a really cool experience. And it's just very interesting how back in the day that was a really big thing that people did, and bumping until the wheels fall off kind of thing.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned that it was a very popular thing, and still there are diehard guys out there. There are still shops out there that are amazing, that do unbelievable work in that field, because it is a very skilled trade. However, it became really difficult to make a living doing that kind of work, especially as an adult. You begin to evolve, and when I say evolve, I mean you start to get married, have kids, buy a house, live the typical American dream. So that's the problem. I have a business partner within Top Class. His name is Jimmy Gavalis, and that's the issue that we ran into. I met Jimmy working for a local car audio shop in Valley Stream, New York, in 1999, and we worked as installers in the back there, and we did some amazing stuff for some high-level celebrities, building some fancy stuff. And we started working, doing side gigs at night back at home in our driveways. And we just found it harder and harder to make the same amount of money that we were making, or in order to support a family, doing the work that we loved at the time, which was the car audio installations, remote start installations. And we had an opportunity to get into the fleet business. Jimmy actually took the dive in there first. He actually went and worked for a manufacturer or a GPS supplier, a company called Trimble. He worked there for about 3 years and really laid the groundwork to what would soon become Top Class Installations. I was working for a 12-volt installation auto accessory place called Speed World FX in Riverhead, New York. They're still in business, great people over there. But I knew it wasn't my calling in life. I needed to be challenged. I needed something. I need to do something for myself. Going back to my earlier story, I've known since my teenage years that I've always wanted to be in business for myself. And this was my second round. Starting my business with my partner, Jimmy Gavalis, which is, like I said, now Top Class Installations. We started in September 2009, and this September is going to be 10 years. So it's
congrats. Not a lot of businesses make it past 10 years.
Yeah.
I think it's like 96% of businesses will fail in 10 years. So you guys are truly one of the few that make it. You said this was your second go around.
That's correct.
What was your first, and what happened to that?
The first was called Exquisite Mobile Electronics. We were based out of Franklin Square, New York, and we did custom car audio and fabrication. That was it. I was 21 years old, and I was tired of the people who I was working for at the time. They wouldn't give me the chance to go and do the kind of work at the level that I knew I could do. So me being a cocky 21-year-old, I said, all right, well, fuck off. I'm going to go do it myself. I literally, keep in mind, I'm 21. I'm living at home with my mother. I have $300 to my name. Okay. And I quit my job and I started doing work. I started doing side work. I'd go to someone's house. I'd do work in my mother's driveway at the time. A few short months pass. I'd start building up a good customer base, make a little bit of money. And I then went and I had incorporated already by that time. I went and I leased a local building, a shop, set it up, and spent just about 5 years there working on cars, building custom audio systems, and high level stuff. I mean, stuff that was featured in several audio magazines. I had a good customer base, and I learned so much. I still to this day, I would not trade that experience, even though it, all in all, in the end, it was a negative experience. I wouldn't trade that for the world. That to me was my master's degree program, even though I never went to college.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes that real world experience is worth more than a degree in a lot of ways. I'm wondering if you could share, one thing that you learned from that, failing at that business that you ended up being able to capitalize on for a later venture.
Sure. Well, I was a classic small business owner. Let me back up. I was the classic technician who had the entrepreneurial curse of being the great technician, but knowing nothing about business. And I went in there being a fantastic technician and said, all right, let me sign the paperwork, pay the accountant to fill out all the information with the federal government and the state, get my S Corp fired up. I have an EIN number all of a sudden, and oh my God, I'm in business. And I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about accounting. I knew nothing about software that was needed. I knew nothing about credit card processing. I knew nothing about business bank accounts. I knew nothing about taxes. I knew nothing about sales tax in particular. That one was a real big swift kick to the nuts.
Huh. You weren't charging sales tax, and then you got a
that was part of the problem. No, you know what? I had a good accountant who worked with me as best as possible as a naive 21-year-old, 21 to 25, I guess 26 I was when I closed the business. And at first that first quarter came around, and the guy's like, "Hey man, you had some good sales this quarter, but I need $7,500 check to the state by tomorrow because we got sales tax due." What do you mean you need $7,500 by tomorrow? I don't have that money. And those things right there, that's the crap that no one tells you about when you're looking to become a small business owner or an entrepreneur. It's the little caveats such as that. And
taxes,
again,
man. I mean, they come for everybody, and people who don't pay them, you're going to pay even more because they'll charge you interest. It's
absolutely,
yeah. So I totally get it. Looking at, you decided to get back on the horse, so to speak, right? You said, I'm going to go after this one more time. A lot of people try something. You tried something for 5 years, did well enough at it to keep going in business, eventually close the doors. To a lot of people, they try something, they fail. Maybe they're successful for a little bit of time, they fail again, and they stop trying. It's really hard to get back on the horse. How are you able to stay motivated and keep pushing forward to eventually build this company that you have today?
Great question. So I struggled with it for a long time. I closed up to Exquisite Mobile Electronics, and then I went to work for Speedworld FX for 3 years. And at first, I was very bitter. I wanted nothing to do with business as far as being an owner or an operator. I just wanted to show up, do my work, and go home. And I think that's the trap that a lot of employees fall into. And it started to become comfortable. And just me and my personality, I don't deal well with things just being structured in the same for so long. I think it might be built into my DNA. I'm always striving for something better than what I currently have. And sometimes to a fault.
Yeah, I've been there, man. It's like, I used to always say, how much money do you want to make? More. And it's like, that's good in the beginning when you're really fired up and you're young. But later on, it's like, it's not always about the money. Maybe it's about the freedom. And, I think that we do want to grow as human beings. I think that if we're not growing, we're not getting any excitement or happiness out of life. And so whether it's in friendships or business or personal development, I think growth is essential to being happy with life. So I'm right there with you, man. But sometimes it can be a fault.
Yeah, totally. So about I guess it was just about my third year of working there. I got married, and I got married in July of 2009. And at the time, my now business partner, Jimmy, him and I had come back. We were doing a ton of side work together late at night. I would literally, so now I lived an hour drive with no traffic from Speed World. I would drive there in the morning, do my work. I'd drive home. I'd be home by 7 p.m. I would sleep from 7 to 9 p.m. 9 p.m. I'd wake up. I'd head over to Jimmy's house by 9:30, and we would work until 4 o'clock in the morning on a customer's car or customers' personal cars at his house. And
hustling, man.
We were hustling big time. I mean, like legitimately not sleeping.
How many like weeks or months did you guys do this for?
It had to be close to a year.
Wow.
And one vehicle in particular took up 3 of those months.
Holy cow.
Yeah, guy spent some coin. But, him and I looked at each other because, he still had a full functioning day job at the time. We looked at each other and we said, this is crazy. We're making killer money over here. But at the same point in time, we're literally killing ourselves to go get it. And we had several conversations over the years of, partnering up, let's do something together. And the timing was just never right. Either one of us was just getting married, someone was just buying a house, someone just had a baby. And just at this point in time, the gears finally clicked into place. And it was like, you know what? It's either now or never. And, we had some heart-to-heart conversations. We decided to move forward with it, and we did so. So I got married July of 09, and this was September 09 is officially when we pulled the trigger and put Top Class together and incorporated.
That's awesome. And it's funny that now or never statement. People should really incorporate that earlier in life. It's like you guys were getting married, but there's never going to be a good time to do something that you want to do or do something you love. So really, it should just be now. If you're committed to something, and clearly you guys were committed, working those crazy hours for a year, you just got to go for it and kind of make that leap, which is scary sometimes. But sounds like you guys, it's almost like the pain of working full time at a job, killing yourselves to make this money wasn't even worth it. You might as well just do it on your own and go for it. It's worked out pretty well so far.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. We just we said, all right, let's go. We did it, and we're still here today. So about 5 years into that journey is when I had the enormous epiphany that we are not doing this in an efficient manner whatsoever. And several gurus will tell you it takes major changes or events in life in order for you to perceive things differently. And looking back at it now, this was right around the birth of my first daughter. My daughter's going to be 5 now in April. And, it really kicked me in the ass hard. It was like, you know what, you're over here. And granted, we were still working 20-hour days. Difference was now that we were working for only ourselves. We were making good money. We were still at the time, maybe we had 4 or 5 people in total on the team. Him and I were still in the field heavily on a daily basis. And the business structure, the business model now is we travel to the customer's location to do the work. So, I mean, we were averaging anywhere from 40 to 60,000 miles a year on our vehicles to go to and from customer locations.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, there's a lot of guys in my industry where that's child's play. But this is New York City, 40 to 60,000 miles a year. So
take you an hour to go 2 miles.
Sometimes more, unfortunately.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I looked at this and I said, I'm barely home now. Luckily, my wife is amazing and we have a rock solid relationship, but I barely see her. And granted, she was working at the time still. She's a school psychologist by trade. And she was working. But the issue was, I was never home, and I'm like, I'm bringing this child into the world, and I can't continue to do things the way that I'm currently doing them because I won't be able to raise my child the way that I feel she should be raised. And it forced me to dive extremely deep and, look back on it, reflect, and see what can I change. I knew in the bottom of my heart that I was not performing to my potential at that point in time. I knew I could offer more to the world. And I don't want that to come off as me sounding cocky. I just knew I wasn't being the best version of me.
No, it's not. I totally understand, man. I mean, we all go through different stages of life, and I think, it's like you get comfortable and then you realize you can do more. And I think that's interesting. I've heard similar stories of, kids, how it kind of changes the perspective. And it's funny, like I actually work really hard right now because I want to create that life. So when I do have kids, I'm able to actually just be there because, being an entrepreneur, being in business for yourself, doing a lot of different things, there's not a lot of hours in the day sometimes. And I have months where I'm like, I don't even know where they went. And then, sometimes you get a little break for a couple of weeks. And you're like, oh, wow, I can enjoy life a little bit. And then all of a sudden 3 more months of just insane hours. So I get it, man. That's, it can change the perspective. So I'm wondering if we're getting into your book right now at all, or because I want to make sure we do touch on that. But
sure.
It was that revelation. If that changed, like what your values were, if that's where you started getting clear on your values, what was that revelation when you saw your daughter and you're like, I got to change something? Yeah.
So basically, what happened was once I realized, I'm bringing this child into the world. Let's go. I knew enough to know that I didn't know enough. And the only way that I could think about going out there and finding more information was go do research, go see if there's somebody that can help you. And what we did was we hired our first business coach. That person put me onto a couple of books, and I started reading. And I literally had not read a book since high school. And I wasn't one of those kids in high school who was against reading. I actually enjoyed it. I read this first book. I did a couple audiobooks, and I was bitten by that bug at that point in time. And I said, holy shit, like there's this amazing information out there. And I felt as if the people in these books were talking to me and the exact problems I was currently facing within my business.
Oh man, it's so true. What books were they?
Well,
do you remember one that meant a lot?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, man. I read that book when I was like 27 years old or 28. I was like, oh my God, why hasn't anybody told me this information?
Yeah. And it just, it spiraled from there. Wound up, upgrading to a better business coach. Dean Mercado over at Online Marketing Muscle and Hop Hog, and he kind of shifted us in the right direction, and he started to teach us heavily about systems, processes, and this all ties into my book here, and I'll actually give you a story that's in the book. We were hiring people, and we had 3 installation technicians in a row that we had hired that they sucked. They were just duds. We hired these people. We thought they were going to be good. And within less than 3 months, their true colors came to light. And it was like, oh my God, this person is just toxic. And they either quit themselves because they weren't a good fit, or we said, have a nice day. And at the time, I was going in weekly for one-on-one coaching sessions with Dean. And I walk into his office one day, and we go over into the kitchen area, get a cup of coffee. And he's like, hey, man, you're all right. You look kind of down. It's like, man, Dean, I don't know, man. Like we just had our 3rd bum hire in a row. And like, it's putting me down. Like we spend money on ads to get these people in. We train them. We do this and that. And for several months at this point in time, he had been busting my chops and pushing me to get clear on core values. And I was like, yeah. Whatever. I don't need that shit. Just go out there and do the work. It's kind of how I felt. So he looks over at me and he's like, so are you finally going to listen to me and put some core values and some further structure in your business? He goes, because if you do this now, he goes, I'm telling you, you're not going to fully eliminate your hiring woes. He goes, but you're going to help them tremendously. And I said, yeah, man, let's do this. And we dove deep over the next 6 months, literally 6 months. Him, myself, my partner, getting into his office for an hour time in a week, and just diving deep and asking questions that drilled down to our core values. And what came out of that has led us and helped us. It's been the guiding light to where we are currently. And literally every opportunity that comes into the company gets put up against the core values. Every employee that comes and wants to enter the company, our hiring process is structured to actually say, all right, hey, how does this person fit our core values? And if the person does not align with the core values, it's not even a question. Have a nice day. I don't care how good your skill set is. You're not going to be a good fit here within the culture of our organization.
Powerful. I'm curious, what was one of the questions you guys used or asked yourselves to figure out your core values?
Wow, really, really, really good question. So this is one of the reasons that I actually dove in and got my book going too, because if you Google, how to figure out your core values, you're going to come up with 1,000 different things, and none of it to me was clear whatsoever. There was no structured process in place. There was no exact way of how to do it. And I had found some stuff online, and I had put myself through it. And one of the things was, it was like a little Excel spreadsheet, had a whole bunch of words on it. And it was basically send out this list of, let's say it's 100 words, and give it to 5, 6, 7 of your closest people around you, friends, family, acquaintances, people within business, people you trust, and let them circle the words that they think apply to you. And I did that. And I sent, it was almost like a survey that I sent out to these people, probably thought I'm nuts. And they all circled what they thought of me. And what I did was I took those sheets back and I looked at all of them, and I got the same answers from several people. So I started to dive into those words in particular, do some real research on them, as far as, looking on a dictionary, and, realize like, oh, wow, I didn't realize it, but this is me. And I started asking myself some hard questions, is this true? Is this, how am I going to use this to better my life? If I'm in this situation, do I really think this way? Do I really act this way? And over a couple of months, again, I was able to get pretty clear on them. And a couple months back, a little more, about a year ago, I read a book by a gentleman named Matt Monero called You Need More Money. And in there, he has also a process of breaking down and figuring out your core values. I applied his method as well. And what I did was I was actually able to clean up my core values and narrow them down further. And that has given me further guidance in my personal life. And going back to the original way that we did, we put our core values together. After we figured out our personal core values, my partner and I sat in a room and said, all right, because now him and I are polar opposites. And that's probably one of the reasons why we work together so well, personality wise. We sat in that room and we said, all right, we went down this list of things. What applies to us? What do we believe in? Do we believe in quality work? Do we believe you should always be on time? And it's pretty funny. Timeliness or being on time was one of the ones that we were like, oh, that's got to be a core value. And we said that in front of the business coach, and he looked at both of us and he kind of laughed and said, are you two kidding me? He's like, you guys are always late.
Yeah.
He goes, that's a nice core value to have. He goes, but it really isn't one of your core values. And he goes, and I could tell you so because you show up 5 minutes late every time. Every week we're here. It's like, oh man. And that's also the power of having a coach or an accountability partner, because they can call you on your bullshit when those situations arrive.
Totally. One of the things that I was thinking about while you were saying this is actually relating to that, is where, you said you had friends circled the core values, and sometimes we don't even know what our core values are ourselves until we do exercises like these and ask ourselves questions like, is that really that important to me? And the biggest thing, though, I've noticed is that some people think that their core value might be, family and love, for instance, might be their number one and number two value that they say, but their actions speak something different, where all they're doing is they're working and it's all about money, or it's about some kind of significance. I got to have the title or whatever it is. And as opposed to creating that environment for their family and be able to spend quality time with them. And so I think that that's something that's interesting, is like, we say we want this as our core value, but what are our actions doing? And so I'm curious, as you guys were going through this process, like, I really believe that we can actually shift our core values, because, who I was 10 years ago is not who I am today, because I wanted to become someone better. And so with that, were you guys like, did you decide, hey, we're not going to worry about being timeliness, or did you try to shift that? Were you guys trying to create new core values?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I also agree that as you evolve as a person or as a business, that your core values most likely will change. Again, going back to what I just said, I recently read that book by Matt Monero, and it forced me to reevaluate my core values. And yes, they did change in the 2-year period before I had gone over them the first round. And I think the same thing applies to business. Matter of fact, we just added a 7th core value to our business, and it's the core value of accountability. I think that we were lacking in that area as a business over the past year, and we ran into a couple situations that forced us to that perked up our antennae, and we went out there and we said, you know what, we're gonna fix this. We did so. We fixed it. And in the process of fixing those issues, we held everyone accountable. And at that point in time, we said, you know what? We're going to make a change here, and we're going to make accountability one of the top core values here at Top Class Installations. Because if you can't be held accountable for your actions and the actions of your teammates around you, you can't be a member of this family.
Yeah. What are some of your other core values?
Well, personally, my number one core value is to help others grow in business. That's my number one core value. I think that's probably the leader on my personal end. Business-wise, communication is a huge core value for us. Since we have a completely remote-based team, I don't have a physical office. I have a home office I work out of. My partner has a home office he works out of. All right. We have field technicians who are dispatched from their home, and they travel to the customer's location. And I have several installation coordinators, and they're all home based. There's no need for us to have a physical office, which is kind of strange, but kind of not in today's day and age. Technology allows us to do amazing things. And we have the presence of a brick and mortar organization, yet we don't have a brick and mortar, nor do we have the overhead.
Oh, that's the benefit right there to technology, and working from home is the overhead you don't have, and you're able to, put that money right back into your business.
Exactly.
You talk about stop self-sabotaging by getting clear on your values. Was there something going on that where you weren't clear on your values, or you and your partner weren't, and that was causing you to self-sabotage? Like, I get it. Like I've done it to myself too, but what was going on with you guys?
So basically we were, and it still happens to this day, but since we're clear, we have like a barrier between it at this point in time because of the core values. We're presented with opportunities on a regular basis, and this goes both personally and professionally. I'll stick to the professional end of it here. Let's say a company comes over to us and they have this advanced solution that they want to train our team on installing. And sometimes that opportunity is not the right opportunity for your business. There might be great money in it. There might be other opportunity, but you have to look at not only your mission and your vision within your company, but you need to look at your core values and say, does this opportunity align with the direction that my company is headed, or is this just going to be a distraction?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, that is so huge in being able to make that determination. I know a lot of people that, I talk to entrepreneurs all the time, and, want to start a business, and they are spending 6 months in it, and they don't even know why they're not really following through. And it's because one of their core values kind of directly stops them from wanting to even do this business. They were doing it for money, and then it doesn't actually work out. So if you guys are taking opportunity for money alone, but it goes against some of your core values, you're going to cause a lot of problems.
Absolutely. I'll give you a prime example. So you mentioned earlier that our mission is to install 1 million tracking devices by the year 2025. Okay. For instance, an opportunity that constantly arises to us is people call us up and say, hey, you guys still install remote starts? I got like 5 remote starts I need done for, me, my friend, a family. And to be quite honest with you, there's pretty decent money to be made in that line of work. However, that does not align with our current mission to go out there and do that kind of work. So if we go out there and install that remote start for that customer, we're literally taking our eye off the focus of the mission. So yeah, I could send my technicians over to you. I could sell you the product, we can install it. But by me doing so, I'm now not focusing on getting more vehicles completed that are going to align us to our mission goal of completing that 1 million installations by 2025.
Absolutely. Oh man, I tell you, like, one of the things personally that I used to, my core value, I really wanted to be successful. That started a podcast called Unleash Success. It's so funny because success is a word that I still love. But the way I defined my core value of success, how I was going to meet that core value, was fucking crazy, man. I just was like, I need to make $1 million a year. I need to have $10 million in the bank. And the thing is that it was all about money. It was about being the best. And it was all about meeting all of it, right? If I didn't meet all of it, I couldn't be successful. Now, here's the really fucked up thing about core values that I didn't know until I started evaluating myself. I always said I wanted to be happy, but I was never happy. And it's because happiness was actually my number 2 value. Success was number 1, happiness was number 2. And in order for me to even feel happy, I had to feel successful. And so I never felt happy. I never really felt happy because I never felt successful. And my values were so out of whack. So one of the things that I did was I started to define kind of how I was going to meet those values really, really clearly. And that shifted everything for me, which is why I love the idea of your book, from a business perspective. We don't even realize all these things that we're doing that are sabotaging ourselves and stopping us from meeting our business goals because we're not clear on our values.
It also has to do with, short-term gain versus your long-term win of your goal. So yeah, if going back to my analogy here, if we were to take on those remote start installations, yes, in the short term, we would monetarily win. However, long term, we're now going to be short of our goal that we have set.
Right. So it's that immediate gratification need. But sometimes doing that can cause long-term pain, regret, failure of your long-term goal.
Correct.
So one of the things here on this podcast that we talk about a lot is the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto Principle. And the way I use that is I find that 80% of our results come from 20% of our actions. The key is knowing what actions to take. When it comes to business success, preventing self-sabotage, getting clear on your goals, what do you think are the biggest actions that we can take? And I'm sorry, I said getting clear on our goals, but really getting clear on our values for, as you say in your book and everything. What is the biggest action we can take to get the biggest result?
You can flip the 80-20 rule upside down.
Okay.
So I'll give you a quick example of an exercise that we do pretty frequently over here at Top Class. We go into our software and basically look at our customers, okay? And we look at the bottom 20%. And it's typical that the bottom 20% of those clients' customers are the ones who cause 80% of your headaches and bullshit. We look at them closely, and 9 times out of 10, we fire them as customers.
Genius. I've heard that before, and that's a great application. It's just in a different way of that 80-20 rule. But wow. So you guys do that how often?
Religiously once a year. I would like to do it once a quarter.
And how do you fire a customer?
Well, it's a couple different ways that it can get done. Most of our customers who we bill directly happen to be GPS providers, resellers, and typically we'll send them an email or a letter, a phone call, and say to them, hey, look, listen, thank you so much for the work that you've sent over the past X amount of time, whether it's 3 months, three days, a year, whatever. At this point in time, it seems that our relationship is just not working well. And in the best interest of our customers and us serving our clients to the best ability that we can possibly, we're going to basically cease our relationship with you. And obviously it can be reworded, but that's just a quick little way to do it.
A lot of people don't want to fire customers because they don't want to lose money. But I guess getting clear on your values might help with that.
Totally. And that's another thing that we do. Once those values are clear, when that opportunity of a new customer comes in, we look at that company or that customer's core values, and then we say, all right, do what they believe in, do what they sell, how do they communicate with us? Is their communication good? Another one of our core values here at Top Class is reliable. We do what we said we do, when we said we do it, the way we said we do it. Is that person doing that? So when that person tells you, hey, Tom, thanks for reaching out to me. We're interested in working with you over at Top Class Installations. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have my assistant send you an email tomorrow by 12 o'clock, and we'll schedule a conference call. Okay? So when 1:30 the next day rolls around and you don't have an email, what's your answer? That right there just proves to me that person does not share the core value of reliability or communication, which is another core value of ours.
Right.
And listen, that can be, you could be nitpicking in there. I mean, granted, something might happen, but you need to look at all of the areas of your core values in that aspect. Another one for Top Class here is professional. Is the person being professional in your interactions with them? Are they caring? Do they care about their customer? Do they care about their employees? Because we do. And if you don't care about especially employees, that one burns me the worst, man. If you don't care about your employees, I do not want to do business with you. My employees are everything to me.
Absolutely.
And they'll tell you that too. Without my employees, I wouldn't be able to do things like what I'm doing right now with you today on this podcast. I have people out there speaking with customers, installing devices in vehicles, and that frees me up and allows me to become the entrepreneur that I'm destined to be and do things such as this.
Absolutely. Awesome. I love what you did with the 80-20 rule there and flipped it around and kind of said, focus on what you shouldn't be doing. Like get rid of the things that take up so much of your time and energy and bring you down negatively, and just get rid of those 20% of things or people or customers, right? Fire those people. Not something that a lot of people hear often, but a very, very powerful statement. So I appreciate that.
Cool.
Tom, so, being an entrepreneur, being in business for 10 years, if someone's starting out and they're maybe in startup phase, maybe they've been in business for a year or 2 years even, what is one of the best pieces of advice that you would give them?
Set time aside daily to work on you. And in doing so, make sure you start by structuring a solid morning routine, and you cover a couple of different things every day, no matter what, religiously.
That's excellent. Just out of curiosity, what's your morning routine look like?
I'm up at 5:30 every day. From 5:30 to about 6:20, I'm doing a couple things. Immediately, first thing in the day, I practice gratitude. I open up Evernote. I use Evernote on my iPhone, and I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for every morning. First thing I do. Second step, I listen to a podcast. and it's usually an influential podcast. I either listen to Rewire by Ryan Stewman or Max Out by Ed Bylett. From there, by 6:30, I'm at the gym. I'm usually at the gym for about an hour. It's about 5 minutes from my house, which is great. I come back, and from 6:30 until about 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30, is my time to shower, eat breakfast. I always spend time with my kids every morning and my wife. I find that, if I get it in then, the same thing with the gym. If I get it in first thing in the morning, there's no excuse at the end of the day that I'm too tired or I don't feel like it.
Yes.
And then from there, the next part of the day is grind. Go in there and get shit done and make sure it's on your calendar and follow that calendar, because the calendar is your boss. As an entrepreneur, you technically do not have a boss. You don't have someone hanging over you saying, you need this done by now. And granted, you do have customers that pull that card with you occasionally. But I utilize the calendar as my guiding light, as my boss that tells me what to do, exactly when to do it, and exactly how long to do it for.
Oh man, that's awesome. I love that morning routine. And I got the same mentality. I always like to go to the gym in the morning, because if not, too much other stuff gets in the way, and I want to take care of my body, my health, and keep everything right. It's always a great way to start the day. And the gratitude thing. Oh man, I started practicing gratitude more and more a couple of years ago, and it's definitely a daily practice that always reminds me of just, how far I've come and how much I've done in life, and just appreciate the hard work, and it allows me to even work harder, which I think it's a great practice to have. So where can we all find you online?
A couple places. You can find me over at TomasKeenan.com. There's no H in Thomas. It's TomasKeenan.com. You can also find me at topclassinstallations with an S at the end.com. I'm on Instagram at Thomas_Keenan, Facebook Thomas Keenan. You can find me on LinkedIn at Thomas Keenan as well. I'm not on Twitter, so don't bother searching for me over there. I can only handle so many social media accounts at once.
Yeah, and for sure, man. And there's you got to be on all of them, and there's too many already. But yeah. Also, your book is coming out. You said you're in the final stages of it. When should people expect to see that, and where can we find that at?
All right. So the book is going to be, my goal for the book being released is April 15th, 2019. I'm going to have links for it all over my social media accounts, as well as ThomasKeenan.com. You can go there.
Perfect.
I'm actually going to have a sign-up form. There's going to be a pre-release that you can actually get a PDF version of the book before the actual release is set. So, for a few weeks prior, you can get a free copy of the book, as long as you don't mind the PDF. And that's it, man. I'm just... I wrote this book because I truly want to help other people succeed in business. I struggled with so much crap, and looking back at it now, and since I have the clarity, I've been through it. I'm like, man, if I only had somebody had taken 5 minutes and explained it to me, I would have listened. I really would have. And I just think that even if one person picks up this book and reads it, and I'm able to help that one person, I've succeeded.
Amen. Oh man, I almost feel like you answered the last question already. You enjoyed a good amount of success, a great amount of success, being in business for over 10 years, huge accomplishment, going towards that 1 million GPS tracking devices, and all at the same time being a dad, a husband, and soon to be author. Pretty amazing stuff. Tom, what is your next level of success?
So a couple things I'm currently working on that's going to help solidify that and bring me on to that next level of success. I'm going to release an online training course to help other people, other technicians get into the 12-volt GPS installation industry. There's a dire need for skilled technicians in this line of work. And there's a lot of people who can do it, who have backgrounds similar, but they don't have the nuts and bolts to apply to actually to get into it and know how to do it. I'm putting together an online training course that's going to tell you step 1 through step 100 exactly what to do, how to do it, how to go out there and find the right people to do the work for. On the higher levels of that, there's going to be trainings on what software to use, how to set it up, sales techniques, the whole 9 yards, specific to this niche. On top of that, I plan on doing a lot of public speaking in the year of 2019 because I want to go out there and I want to get this message out. I want to help people. And that's it, man. I just want to help people. Bottom line.
Awesome. I love it. I share the mission with you and different niches, but you're definitely going to do it, man. I have no doubt about that. Really a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much. Very grateful.
If you enjoyed the show and learned something of value, the one ask that I have is please go subscribe, whether you're on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. And if you leave us a 5-star rating and review, that absolutely helps us get our message out there. Each week, I'm going to continue to interview amazing people, and we're going to break down their tools and strategies to help get you real results. Feel free to visit the website, unleashsuccess.com, and subscribe to our newsletter so you get updates each week. And remember, knowing is not enough. Knowledge alone is not power. Action is. Because action is the only way you're going to get the results you want in life and truly live the life of your dreams. So take some action, subscribe to the podcast today, and get ready to unleash success in you.